Hey guys, so this chart reading is for someone who has commented on my videos at least several times, so just wanted to say thank you for doing that because I always appreciate the interaction since I'm still a pretty small channel, and figured I'd read the chart for you. So this is for December 9th, 1979 in Tashkent, Uzbekistan at 9:15 p.m. So that's I'm kind of a geography nerd, so that was pretty exciting for me just to read someone's chart who was originally from such a different place than where I'm from. That's so cool. Such an interesting region. But at any rate, so let's look at the chart. I have it here for you. Um, as you can see, all the planets are in the lower, the first and second quarter, so they were all below the horizon. So there are no planets visible whatsoever. Looks like it was nighttime, but it was a very clear sky. Concerning, the sun wasn't there obviously because it was nighttime, but the moon wasn't visible. No planets were in the sky whatsoever. So that's kind of interesting. It would overall suggest, someone who's a little bit more keeps things to themselves, or just has like they're not super transparent, just because there's maybe a more complex character there that is not always visible, I guess, since there's so many parts of the planet, so many parts of the personality that are represented by the planet were obscured, and so that's seen as the personality being kind of hidden away somehow. However, on the other hand, you have a huge fire dominance. So sun in fifth house Sagittarius, moon in first house Leo, Leo rising, even the Aries midheaven. So lots of fire. So from that, I would say, sorry for these birds outside, they're really annoying. For that, I would say, yeah, so you would definitely be a very warm character, very outgoing. I did say in my narcissist empath video that that could be like a red flag for narcissism. I just don't feel like that's the case with you. I did talk to you a little bit, and you seem like a very nice person. But also, not only that, but the energy in your chart, as for fire signs, is mostly centered around Leo and Aries. And of the three fire signs, Leo and Aries are the more. They're ruled by benefics, so they're more less problematic, I guess. Like Aries can be such a strong, potent energy, and it's mostly centered around the self that I think if there's too much of a masculine dominance there, they can be maybe a little bit overly self-centered. But I would say Leo and Sagittarius are the more cheerful and more like upbeat of the fire signs, I would say, being ruled by benefics, and they're also more focused on other people since they come later in the cycle. Like for instance, Leo is focused on the family a lot, so family would be very important to you since you're rising in Leo. Rising and moon are in Leo. But also Sagittarius is very much focused on itself, but also like the world and focused on learning. So of the three fire signs, Leo and Sagittarius are more focused on things outside of themselves, relatively compared to Aries. So you would have a very upbeat, cheerful vibe. Like, I've known people with Sun in Sagittarius, Moon in Leo, or vice versa, and they end up being sort of cheerleaders. So I would think that, like, maybe in your family or at your workplace, you would feel kind of like it's your duty to keep things like upbeat and use your very vibrant personality to kind of bring others up. If you think about like the sun, since you would kind of take on elements of the sun, I guess, since your rising and moon are in Leo, and you're so fiery in general. The sun does kind of get all the attention from everything since it's so bright and so obvious. So you would maybe attract attention and handle attention very well. But at the same time, the sun also shines its light on everything else and lights everything else up. So you would do the same things. You would use that energy that you have to light other people up and to maybe make other people look good or feel good. And that can be hard sometimes because you would feel, like I said, you'd feel like it's your duty to bring people up, and like you have to support everyone. You always have to be in a good mood all the time, and that can have challenges where I think you probably would have some very consistent fiery energy, and you would be a very energetic person. You seem like a very energetic, very upbeat person. Maybe you don't even need a lot of sleep. So I think you could take on the role of being that happy person all the time, but inevitably, like, no one's perfect, and so I think there can be a challenge where eventually you're going to have a bad day, and it might be hard for you because you feel like you can't express that because people are relying on you to be the happy person. So I'm not sure if you relate to any of that, but that's just something I see with fire energy in general, specifically Leo, and with Moon and Rising in Leo. You have a lot of your personality in Leo, so definitely very cheerful, very upbeat. Leo is the fixed fire sign, so you've got that consistent energy. You could be very productive, maybe just because you have all that energy and it's very stable, I guess. What else? You'd also be very open. I mean, with Sun and Sagittarius, you're very open to new experiences. Fire in general wants new experiences and beginnings and stuff like that. So, you could maybe take on some very big projects in your life. You'd probably be a big dreamer. You might have some like grandiose dreams, whatever those might be for you. Especially with Midheaven and Aries as well, supporting all that. In the workplace, you'd be outgoing and kind of a leader. So I could see you like coming up with some big ideas of projects, and you. Well, let me see what else is in your chart too. So I did notice that. Excuse me. You do have Mercury outside of. Mercury's in a different sign than your Sun. So in this case, Mercury is in Scorpio. Like, I'm noticing two main themes here. One is the fiery influence, which I just talked about, but another one is kind of touches on what I said to begin this, where all the planets are below the horizon. So there is part of your personality that's kind of kept hidden or kept secret, which is sort of uncommon for that fire influence. All that fiery part of you is so apparent and so obvious. It's very easy for people to understand and relate to. But at the same time, you have all your planets below the horizon, so there is part of you that's kind of obscure or not always seen by others. And also with Mercury in Scorpio, and then you've also got Venus in Capricorn. You do have, and Mars conjunct Jupiter in Virgo. You do have some personal planets that are in more introverted signs, especially being some of the later yin signs. They are more. They're a lot more like well seasoned than the fire signs, or they're more used to challenging circumstances, I think. Or what's another word? Like they're more pessimistic, kind of, or they're more weathered almost. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but like for instance, your Mercury in Scorpio would mean that you. So like, I don't want to contradict myself, because you are very upbeat and outgoing, and you would be an optimist, but at the same time, your Mercury in Scorpio would make you kind of a pessimist as well. You could kind of have maybe a dark sense of humor or be a little bit cynical. I think especially combining the... So we're combining the Leo energy, Leo moon, Leo rising, so you would probably be very jovial and want to have a sense of humor, have a strong sense of humor, want to laugh a lot. But then I think combining that with the Sagittarius Sun and Mercury in Scorpio, I do see you being kind of cynical or sarcastic, I would think, or maybe having a dark sense of humor. But still, it's all about humor. It's all about being upbeat and positive. But that Mercury in Scorpio would bring in some kind of darkness to it somehow, or some pessimism, a little shade of pessimism to it. Also, Venus in Capricorn, that's a little bit similar to Mercury in Scorpio, where it's more introverted or more kind of cynical or pessimistic. But at the same time, so Venus in Capricorn is a placement which I really admire, just because it would make you extremely dedicated and loyal in love. I think that kind of builds on your Leo rising and moon, you and Sagittarius Sun. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but you'd seem like a very loyal person to me, because Leo is very loyal. It's that fixed fire again. So, they are very focused on family or romantic partners, and they do want that consistency and that loyalty. They're very proud people, so they're proud of not only themselves, but they're proud of their family or their romantic partner. So Leo is a very loyal sign. Sagittarius is as well. Sagittarius can kind of dabble, especially early in life. It can, because it wants to experience everything. But eventually, Sagittarius wants to find like the best thing or the best person and to settle down. So, or it wants to pick a couple different skill sets and become the best at those and master those. So Sagittarius is a little more complicated. It can be a bit of a dabbler, especially early in life. But as Sagittarius ages, it is extremely loyal because it wants to just pick just one or two, very few different areas of life and just go all the way with those things. So Sagittarius is loyal as well. And now you're combining Venus and Capricorn, which to me is the epitome of loyalty, just because it would make your idea of romance all focused on the long term. So, growing old with your romantic partner, it's extremely kind of somber or solemn, but you would have a love that would last a long time. That's what really matters to you. So it's all about the long term, and it's extremely dedicated and kind of a ride or die aspect, if that makes sense, or placement. And especially being in the sixth house, you would care very much about other people, or your affections would be like if you're in a relationship, you would know what your partner wants probably more than what you want, or that would be more important to you than your own needs sometimes, just because you're so dedicated. And romantically, it would just you would just think of their needs before your own. It would just be more obvious to you, just because you're that empathetic in relationships, I would think. So your chart is nice because you are very fiery, but I don't think you'd be too self-centered, because you do have some things balancing it. We are mixing in, you've got 3 Earth planets, and then Mercury and Scorpio, and then all the planets below the horizon. So I think those kind of temper your fiery energy. Fire energy is great. It's so energetic and so great with people, and you have all those characteristics. But then I think some of the downsides of being too fiery, where you could be too self-centered, I don't think those are an issue, just because of what I said. There are some things balancing in your chart. So you to me seem like someone who is very outgoing and energetic, and can be, what's the word? Like, your energy goes a long way. You can push through social interactions and leave a good impression, and I think you'd have a charisma about you. But I don't think you would use it for self-gain a lot. I think you are really considerate of other people, especially in relationships. You're very dedicated in your romantic relationship. Yeah, what else? And Mars and Virgo, that could make you a little bit finicky. Like, it would, if your house is cluttered, it would make you really kind of upset. So it's important to you to have a sort of an orderly or clean house. It would make you hygienic. It would make you a hard worker as well. Yeah, I think you could be a really hard worker. You'd have the big dreams and all that fiery energy, but then you've got Mars and Virgo, so you do follow through with things. You would be very good at starting things and having these big, grandiose dreams. But then I think the Mars and Virgo would give you the positive work ethic to actually follow through with things. So, plus, like I said, Mercury and Scorpio, Venus and Capricorn, all these things are more concerned about the long term. So they balance all that fiery energy. The fiery energy is just concerned with the short term. But then you've got that good work disciplined work. What's the word? Like a disciplined attitude to make you work hard, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm not phrasing that very well, but you got that, plus your romantic sector is focused on the long term, and then your mental energy is all a little bit pessimistic or thinking about how things wouldn't work. So I think all those things really balance all that fiery energy really nicely. You are lacking air energy, so although, like I said, you do have a pretty balanced chart, I would say you do pretty much completely lack air. You do have Pluto and Libra, which is air, but other than that, there's no air planets. So you could kind of maybe take things too seriously, or yeah, maybe life could kind of get too serious or too rigid for you at times. It would be good for you to kind of like loosen up sometimes, because lacking that air makes everything kind of like heavy, I guess. And I think being a Leo rising, it would help. Like, I think relationships to you are very important, and I think you would want to be in a relationship. Because, like I said, Venus and Capricorn is so dedicated. It wants to be dedicated to someone else, especially being in the sixth house. And then Leo Moon and Leo Rising. Leo is a very romantic sign, and it wants to have fun. It wants a relationship. It loves being in love. It loves the idea of love because it's such a fun energy, and it wants to have fun with someone else. So I do think it's important for you to be in a relationship. It might take time. I do think you could have relationship issues, especially early on with your Venus in sixth house Capricorn. That is although it's extremely dedicated and loyal and very giving, so a very great placement in those regards. It is in a kind of problematic or challenging situation, especially early in life, like I said, because anything in Capricorn will be extra challenging at first, but then extra rewarding later on. So I do think it's important for you to be in a relationship, although at an early age, it would either be hard for you to find a relationship, or you'd be in a relationship that's not very good. But as you mature, I think you would be much more likely to find a really, really good relationship situation. And what I was going to say is, I think it would be beneficial to you to be in a relationship with someone who has some air in their chart, just because you lack air, so you'll naturally be drawn to it, since whenever we lack an element in our chart, we're always drawn to that in other people, since it kind of balances us. It would help you kind of, maybe not take things too seriously and to lighten up sometimes. And it would go really well with all your fiery energy. You guys would really enjoy each other. I think you would be kind of the leader in the relationship, and they would enjoy following you. Yeah. And also, just with the Leo rising and Leo moon, Aquarius is opposite of that, so Aquarius would balance that. So in a relationship, I could see Aquarius would be a really good sign for you. Maybe someone with placements in Aquarius, or another air sign might do the trick too. Someone who's a little bit quirky or aloof, doesn't take things as seriously, like I said, and probably someone who has a good sense of humor, like you do too. Because I do think humor and having fun in life is important to you. You to me seem like you would use humor to bring people up, and because I think you have had hard times in your life, so you don't want people to be sad or to feel as bad as you have in the past. You want to, kind of keep things light and stuff. So, but at the same time, it can be hard for you to maybe keep things light for yourself, if that makes sense. Like, I do think you would use your fiery energy to bring other people up, so maybe it'd be important for you to not take things too seriously for yourself as well, if that makes sense. And I think, like I said, being in a relationship, maybe with someone with air in their chart, could kind of help you do that, if that makes sense. So hopefully some of that resonates. Let's see, also with Saturn and Virgo in the second house, yeah, at an early age, you would probably have to work very hard. It might be hard for you to find work, or you'd have to work really difficult jobs at an early age, or something like that. Or you could have issues with your health at an early age. But you would have to work very hard, and then later in life, you'd probably have very good health and a very good work situation. But all of that would be something that you worked very hard to achieve, and that you did on your own. In general, I want to say that your life would probably get easier as you mature, especially with the Venus and Success Capricorn, because, yeah, I guess just because of what I was kind of talking about earlier, romance is so important to Leo, and with your Venus and Capricorn, it would just take time it would take time before you could really have a lot of fun in your relationship. But I think you definitely could a lot, especially later in life. And you might almost be more childlike with your partner later in life, because Capricorn placements tend to do that. Okay, what else? I could say you're part of the Pluto and Libra generation, so I don't know, like, if you grew up in Uzbekistan or where you grew up, or if it's different in other cultures, but I know, like, in America, we had a lot of divorces starting to happen when Pluto was in Libra, and so the Pluto and Libra generation was kind of the first generation to start growing up in broken households and stuff like that. which makes a lot of sense because Pluto kind of destroys things, and um, it destroys things in order to make them stronger, I guess. And so, being in the sign of relationships, it led to a lot of issues in those areas. So you may have grown up, maybe your parents couldn't be together for some reason, um, or something like that. So usually it's something to do with the parents not being together or maybe not getting along. And so it's something that you deal with in your own life as well. But it's all just part of evolution. And I guess it would mean that you'd have to just try to learn balance in your life as well. For you specifically, you have Pluto near the IC, so you might have really turbulent home situations, especially early in life, or that could just be an issue for you throughout life. Maybe you've probably had some point in your life where you didn't have a home, so maybe either you're homeless or you just lived in a situation where you didn't feel safe at home or something like that, or your home life was just really, really lacking in some way. So your dark night of the soul moment would relate to that, would relate to not having the security of being able to feel at home. But only going through that experience would you realize that you have everything you need with you, and that you can create your own home environment, I guess. So it would be a really difficult thing to go through, but afterward it would help you to build what would ultimately be a much more strong and secure situation regarding your home environment, if that makes any sense at all. And I'm just getting that from Pluto being by the IC in Libra. Okay, what else? Okay, I just kind of talked a lot. That's like most of what I see. Jupiter and Virgo would bring, and Mars. So you have three planets in Virgo. Um, yes, you are very much a hard worker, and you had to work a lot just to get the job that you have, or just to get your health to where it is. But you do have Jupiter there as well. So although that area is very challenging for you, you do have luck there as well. You would be, I think you'd be a very hygienic person. You would be probably keep a clean house, with Jupiter and Mars and Virgo. That would be important to you. And you'd be a hygienic person, so you probably have a good diet, or good health regimen, just because you're extra aware of those things. You're extra aware of, when you eat, how does it feel in your body, stuff like that. So I would think that you wouldn't be too, all the fire energy can be overindulgent, but I think with that influence in Virgo, you would be more conscious of your body, and more conscious of your health. And so I think you would keep yourself in good health overall. Um, that's most of what I see. I know I was talking a lot. I know rising and the moon are ruled by the sun, so the sun is your chart ruler. Yeah, you're a very energetic, fiery person. You have a very vibrant personality, which other people depend on. I really think other people depend on you a lot, just because you would be like the sun, with all your energy, and because, yeah, I'm kind of repeating myself, but you do seem like someone who supports others with all your energy and light, which is really cool. Um, and then the sun is ruled by Jupiter, which is in Virgo. Jupiter in Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is in Scorpio. That's ruled by Mars, which is in Virgo. So Mars and Mercury are final dispositors, and they're in mutual reception. Um, yeah, so you are definitely a very hard worker and very ambitious, or very determined. Um, you would definitely, what's the word? You'd persevere, or you'd be very, like, if someone tells you you can't do something, you wouldn't take no for an answer. You'd be very determined. You would, if you need to do something, you'll do whatever it takes to get it done. If you need to, I don't know. Like, you definitely seem to me like someone who's worked very hard. Um, So yeah, so very interesting personality. One side of it is just that happy, almost carefree, seeming, very warm, very vibrant, very energetic personality. But under that is someone who's very determined and very resilient and hardworking, and cares a lot about other people, and has definitely had some challenges in their life. That's what I see. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm gonna end it now because that's pretty much what I see. Let me know what I got right, what I got wrong. Um, yeah, just your thoughts in general. And thanks for watching as always. And I'll see you later.